So we are making progress, and the next section we have to work on is the footer section. The footer section down here. But to modify the footer section, we have to first learn about widgets and how to manage them. WordPress widgets. What are widgets? Widgets are blocks of content or components that you can add to various locations on your website. For instance, this particular block of text here is a widget, a text widget. This particular area is a recent posts widget. This is a list of links and it forms another set of widgets. This is a recent posts widget. So you realize that widgets have special purposes, and they can be in the form of text as we see here. They can be an image, categories, recent posts, group of links, or any component at all that forms part of your website can be a widget. Now, widgets are added to widget ready areas or locations on the website. For example, this particular footer section here we see has 4 columns, which means that every column is a widget ready area that we can add a widget in the form of text, in the form of image, or any other parts of the website. So we can add widgets to specific areas, and these areas are called widget ready areas. And one function of widgets is that it helps us to add specific features to our websites at various locations. So it is clear that one area you can add widgets is the footer section. Just as we can see that this area has 4 widget areas, and hence you were able to add 4 widgets. Another place that you can add widgets is the sidebar. So if we visit the blog, for instance, we see that this is the main content of the blog where we have an image and the text here. But on the right hand side here, we have other elements. These are widgets that were added. So we have archives widgets, categories widgets, meta widgets. We have a search bar here, which is also a widget, and other ones down here. Let's take a look at how widgets can be managed. So we visit the dashboard, we go to appearance, then you click on widgets. So let's verify what you were talking about. For instance, we were talking about the sidebar. So this is the blog and this is the sidebar. You see archives, categories, meta, a search form here, and all that. Let's confirm that from the widget section. So we see the sidebar, and you have widgets inside the sidebar. So you have archives widgets, categories, meta, search, and all of the other ones. The next area is the footer. So if we check the footer here, let's compare the widgets that were used here. So we have footer 1 widget area, which is text, and we see that text here. If we click on it, it is the same thing that we are seeing here. So to manage this particular widget, you do it here at the footer 1 widget. For one thing, these are the available widgets. So it means that these areas are the widget locations. So for instance, if I want to add a video widget to a widget area, let's say that the footer 1, I want to add it to this particular text here, this particular area, then what I would have to do is that I will just drag this video, which is a widget, and drop it in the widget area, which is the footer 1 widget area. Then I'll be able to add my video to it. Let's say that I choose this particular video and click on add widget. Let's save it and see how widgets really work. So having saved this, we are expecting that this one will be added to the bottom here so that it will be 2 inside this widget area. So let's take a look by refreshing our page. So we see the video here, which means that we've been able to add a video widget to this widget area. So everything comes with widget areas that you can add widgets to it. These widgets are already available by WordPress. Others to come along with the theme that you are using to create the website. So another area is the footer 2 widget area. We see that one, recent posts, and if we come here we see that recent post here. The next is footer 3, which is our sitemap. So you check footer 3 here, which is the sitemap. The last one is the recent projects. As you can see here, recent projects, and that is the one located at this place. So that's basically how widgets work. So having had an understanding of what widgets are and how they work, we will now be able to work on our footer to modify it accordingly. So once again, how do we modify these elements here with our own content? We have to go to widgets and specifically search for footer widgets, because this area is a footer section. And if you are working on these particular widgets, then where do we go? We have to go to sidebar. Why? Because this area is a sidebar. So let's get started with the footer widgets first, so that we can change these elements here to fit our needs. So widgets. Once again, to access the widget, you go to appearance and then you click on widgets. So let's start with the first one, the first footer area. So let's say that you want to keep only text here. So in this case, I've added a video. You can delete that video and you have text here. Then you'll be able to replace this text with your content. So having done that, you click on save and the changes will be effected. Let's take a look at it. Refresh your website. So we see that we have this text available here. The next we can see here is recent posts, which is the one that is located in the footer 2 widget area, this one. So that is recent posts, and in this case we have the option of replacing this particular one with any other content at all that we want. For instance, let's say that you want an audio to be played in the footer 2 area, or you want to display calendar, you want to display gallery. In that case, what you have to do is just to drag the widget and drop it in the widget area, and then you'll be able to now choose your content and add it. If you don't want it again, you just delete it and off it goes. Let's say that you want to add a sign up form so that people can sign up to your newsletter right in the footer section. You drag the MailChimp sign up form, drop it in that area, then you'll be able to now make changes to that accordingly. If it is gallery that you want to display some images, you drag it, you drop it in your footer 2 area. Then you'll be able to add your images and effect the changes. So let's say that you want to keep this recent posts. This area, you can add a title to it, such as check out our recent posts or our recent articles. You'll be able to indicate how many posts to show there. So let's say that we choose that it should show 5 posts. Then if you have 5 posts, at least 5 posts in your website, all of them will show in a preview such as the one that we can see here, and people can easily click on them to have access to your posts on your websites. The next is the footer 3 widget area. The sitemap is the one that has been placed there, and we see that one here. Let's say that we want something else to be placed there, something like a search form where people can search on the website. We just have to drag it and drop it in the footer 3 widget area. You'll be able to add a title such as search our website. Let's save it and have a look. So you can see that search form available here so that people can use this to search for content on the website. So let's say that we don't want both widgets here, but we want only the search our website, and we want to get rid of the sitemap. So what do? We get to the widget area, the footer 3 widget area. Then we see that we have 2. The first one is the sitemap, the second is the search area. We delete the sitemap and maintain only this one. The last one, the recent projects area, the recent projects. So if you want to keep it, you can keep it. Otherwise, you can drag and drop another widget of your choice to replace that. The other area that widgets can be added is the sidebar, just as we see the sidebar here. This sidebar appears when someone visits your blog. So let's say that you want to modify the content here. Then just as we have done as usual, these are the various widgets available. You can make changes to them accordingly. If you don't want to keep them, you want to delete them, you can simply click on the drop down arrow here, then you'll be able to delete them. And if you want to add other images or other widgets, then you can drag and drop them accordingly. Another way of adding widgets to a widget area is by simply clicking on the drop down of that particular widget and selecting which area the widget should be placed. So for instance, I want to place an image widget into the sidebar. I just have to simply click on the drop down of the image here. Then if you scroll down, you see that we have various locations that you can add. The sidebar, off canvas sidebar, footer 1, footer 2, 3, 4 widget area. So if I want this image to be displayed at the sidebar, once I click on image, I just choose sidebar and then I click on add widget. Then you see that it has been added to those at the sidebar. That is one other method.